Hey everyone, I'm back with another video, and this is Cam315, also with my guest.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? The Red Wolf here, the Cario, whatever the heck you want to call me.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. Sorry I haven't been on. Full-time job. We're going.
Yeah, well, don't expect, sadly. I don't know when the next video will be on. Probably will be this Dragon Ball Super review. We might do quickly after this video, but I think after that, I don't know any other video you can make it on until I possibly come back after any breaks I get back from school.
Yeah, when did you say you were going to come back after? Or?
Thanksgiving break is possibly the next. Well, definitely Thanksgiving break because that's my birthday week. Because Thanksgiving Day is on my birthday, so I'm definitely gonna probably more than likely come back because that's Thanksgiving break and it's my birthday. Of course, my family are gonna celebrate that. But another thing, and there's really nothing that you know would be out at the time we could talk about. Like the Sonic movie would have been out in November unless it didn't get held back. But the only other thing is possibly December if we see Star Wars together, because that's the next movie. That's the next big movie I'm seeing possibly after Dora. I still have yet to see Dora, but that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about movies and stuff. We're here to talk about one of our favorite shows, or one of our favorite anime, and that is Dragon Ball Z. So this is gonna be the video that is coming really after the last Dragon Ball review, which was when I reviewed by myself the original Dragon Ball TV show, and I gave my thoughts on that. And if you want to see that video to get my thoughts on the original Dragon Ball, I made a playlist for Dragon Ball content, anything Dragon Ball content. A playlist on my channel. Click on that playlist. The Dragon Ball review should be up in there. But like I said, Denzel is not in that video, but he will be in the Super and this video. Obviously, I don't know if being the ones, because I will be doing the movies at some point. I will be reviewing the movies and my thoughts. But here we go into our review for Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball Z is the series that basically is right after, or picks up right after the original Dragon Ball show, and it takes it's basically the same, little story, but expand into more galaxies, and more potential universal threats. Um, I've always liked Dragon Ball Z, and we're even going to be talking about Kai for a little bit. Now, if you ask me, in my opinion, what do I watch more? Because I know that's a huge debate between Dragon Ball fans: is Z or Kai? More people who grew up watching Z morely cater to Z, and that's all power to you. When I started watching Dragon Ball, as I stated in my Dragon Ball review, I started off watching Dragon Ball Z Kai. So I'm more catered to watching Kai than as opposed to Z. I'll still go back and watch Z, but I prefer Kai better. Now, when we talk about Kai, I'll get into the reasons why I not only prefer Kai, but why I think Kai is the better cut of Z. But what do you prefer?
Yeah, I also prefer Kai because mainly the voice acting is more accurate in my opinion. Just my opinion. Just.
Yeah, we'll get to our Dragon Ball Z Kai thoughts later. But as for Dragon Ball Z, I know when it was first coming out, it was a big thing, very big, especially when it finally came over here to America. It was a really good show because you had the Bruce Falconer music and stuff like that. Because that's why a lot of people love Z, for that exact reason, and that's why a lot of people even today are like, man, I wish even Super had the Bruce Falconer soundtrack. It was one of the reasons why so many people loved Z, is because that Bruce Falconer score. And I can't fault him. The score is good. The score is good. There's pretty memorable tracks in that score alone. But I also do like the original Kikuchi score of Dragon Ball because it's a little more mellow, tone and stuff like that. And it's good. I do have Volume 9 of Dragon Ball Z, which is like the last part of the Buu saga. Yes.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I haven't. I recently watched that. I think just yesterday, just watching the little final episodes before the 10-year time skip. Because I'm watching, as I said in my drama review, I'm watching all the show in its entirety in order in Japanese. So I just got done watching Dragon Ball. I really got done watching Dragon Ball Z / Kai. Now I'm finally on Super. So, um, yeah. As for soundtracks, what do you have to say about the soundtrack?
Mm, well, are we comparing it to? Are we comparing Z to Z Kai or?
No, no. Well, Z Kai's soundtrack is a whole nother story. So
Mm,
I wouldn't compare that, especially what later happened.
well, when it comes to Dragon Ball, I kind of like all of them. Just I enjoyed listening to them.
The Kikuchi score more than the Falconer score. It sounded a little bit more like the original Dragon Ball soundtrack, but with little different beats and more intense beats when it comes to the fighting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, or actually, I'm gonna actually ask this question since you weren't on the last video. So, what got you into Dragon Ball? Since you weren't on the first review video for Dragon Ball.
Funny story. Remember back then when we were in middle school and we started playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2?
Yep.
That's what got me into watching the Dragon Ball series.
Okay. Okay. See, there's like I said in my last review, there's so many crazy ways how you can get into certain series, really, of any show that's ever being made. So, anyways, Dragon Ball Z basically is the story of Goku and his friends, but more on on an upgraded scale than where Dragon Ball was really related to just Earth threats. This Dragon Ball Z really focuses on those out of space universal level threats, including when we get to the Buu saga as well. Now, Super, when we talk about that, that's a whole nother tier. Also, they introduced new things where it adds to the lore of Goku and why he always had his tail, which we all now know is he was a Saiyan all along. And it was now if you could see me watching Dragon Ball first, then Dragon Ball Z, because I did the other way around. Now you can. It was crazy when you like watch Dragon Ball, and then all these unique things. Toriyama made it where he put all these unique things in Z, where it's like tied into some of the things of Dragon Ball, like how reason behind Goku's tail, stuff like that. In reality, he was just an alien from another planet.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to say?
Well, I guess all I can say is, what should I say? Just, it's interesting.
But anyways, it also goes into the history of Goku's original race, the Saiyans, and the Tyrant Frieza, and then it even goes back to the Earth threat of the Red Ribbon Army wanting revenge in the Android saga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's when things start to get a little more earthy, like Earth threat, more Earth threat.
Oh yeah, I'd say the moment once Frieza shows up.
Yeah, that's more universal.
Universal. Now, it went back to an Earth threat with the androids.
Although
until really Perfect Cell happened, because he could have literally blown the entire solar system when he was in his super perfect form. And then we go back to the universal threat when we deal with Majin Buu.
Mm-hmm. Are
Um,
we going that fast?
some memorable moments I can say from Dragon Ball Z. You gotta say, arguably one of the most memorable moments is over 9,000 line. Even though for the dub, that was actually a gigantic mess up. It was supposed to be over 8,000. They were supposed to say that line, but they messed that up. and said it's over 9,000. Next thing you know, it's a huge meme. Um, Another memory that can come to mind is Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time. Huge memory. It's a pretty, powerful scene when you think about it. The Gohan Super Saiyan 2 transformation. Iconic as it when Gohan was at his highest. Um, the Buu Saga, I do like the Buu Saga, but really there's only a few moments here and there. You got Vegito, the Majin Vegeta sacrifice, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, um, Ultimate Gohan.
Go Tanks.
Go Tanks to an extent, yes. Um, I guess the
Spirit Bomb.
The Spirit Bomb moment, yeah, that was big. When Boo was finally hatched. Very many moments, but I would probably say for the Majin Buu saga, my favorite moment from the Majin Buu saga was probably. Ooh, that's a toughie. It probably most likely had to be Vegito.
Yeah, I like that too. It's like Vegito's so powerful, and that whole fight was just hilarious in a way too. Like,
oh yeah,
Vegeta was all roasting Boo the entire time.
Any of your most memorable moments across the 4 different sagas?
I will have to say. I guess I would have to say Super Saiyan 2 Gohan versus Perfect Cell.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that father and son Gohan. That was like a really good. That was like a really good moment.
Oh, so that's your overall favorite moment. Okay. Now, when you watch Z, and we'll even dive into this more when we talk about Kai in a minute. Z is pretty long from the standpoint. There's many filler episodes. I know one of the first few filler episodes is when Gohan's, training for those 6 months by himself before Piccolo comes to like basically help him training. There was like I think 4 or 5 episodes catered to just Gohan alone and stuff like that. I remember when I was watching Z, I didn't particularly really like the filler, especially the filler that just I felt like took too much time to get to the main point. And even though filler is a good way to have slice of life episodes and stuff like that, after a while watching the Z fillers, they get kind of boring and dull. I know not one of the more favorite fillers was the Garlic Jr. saga. This is in Z, and I'm not really talking about the first Dragon Ball movie, but if you remember, if you ever seen the first Dragon Ball Z movie, Garlic Jr. was basically pulled out from that movie and pulled into like basically the time part of when Goku's gone training on Yardrat between the end of the Frieza saga and the start of the Android saga. You could personally say that really wasn't necessary, and a crazy thing to say is if you're gonna do Z, even though if you're gonna watch Z, technically, if you're watching Z, that's I guess you make the first movie canon then. So, what were other filler moments? Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of filler, would you say Super has a lot of filler?
Yeah, but I feel like their filler, when we get to that video, I'll give my reasons to why their filler I think is, fine and okay. Like I said, the Z filler is fine and okay. I just feel like it takes a little bit too long. They could have had like 2-3 episodes instead of having like 5 or 6. The whole Garlic Jr. saga, it's a pretty interesting saga still to see because now it's the Z fighters dealing with a threat without the help of Goku and Vegeta. Because Vegeta was gone as well. It was good, but I feel like the Garlic Jr. saga didn't have to run for so long like it had to run for. Sorry you guys can hear my dog barking, but people are coming into the house. What was another filler? Oh, the filler before the Cell games. There was a little filler there. I think there was like 3 little episodes of filler for that. It was pretty nice. I know when the Majin Buu saga first started off, they had the Gohan in high school filler. and stuff like that.
It's pretty much how he met Fidel and stuff.
Yeah, I know in Kai, especially for the Buu saga for Kai, they shortened that down a huge amount of months. They didn't show as much. Like they didn't show when Gohan went on that one date with that one red-haired girl and stuff like that. Yeah. So, your thoughts on the filler for Z?
I'm just honestly, I pretty much I just go to Kai. It's just to like not watch the filler because I'm not sure if I'd be able to watch the whole filler thing because I think I'd fall asleep.
Now we're gonna talk a little bit in general of all the sagas and what our favorite aspects and least favorite aspects of those saga. And when we get to Kai, it's basically rinse and repeat. We won't go over all the sagas, but we'll just talk about why we prefer Kai over Z in our opinion. So we're gonna start off with the first saga, Saiyan saga. This is basically the saga where it explains Goku's homegrown origins, why he's not of Earth, he's not an Earthling, he's an actual alien from a different world, a Saiyan. And that's when him and his company, like him Piccolo have to, cancel whatever beef they have to defeat one common enemy. And this also starts with the standpoint of also Goku's son, having this crazy untapped potential power that could make him legit the strongest person in the world at this time. That's when Piccolo was finding out. That's why he was intrigued to train him. Also, it was another reason how Piccolo has later changed as the sagas progressed, especially after the Frieza saga. I always saw Piccolo after realizing Gohan showed him more as a friend and a family member to him. I feel like after that moment, I feel like when it would have probably hurt Piccolo that he would have to, if he still had a little evil in his heart to, still want world domination. He knows he would eventually might have to go fight Gohan to get what he wants, and he knows it probably would have hurt him. So it's another good thing of, another reason why Piccolo never really attacked the Z fighters after they dealt with the Saiyans and even after Frieza, because he could have really attacked them at any time. He could have attacked them when Goku was on Yardrat and Vegeta was who knows where in the universe looking for Goku. He could have legit just took the planet himself, knowing that Goku is going to be stronger than him, but he could have got the world domination for the little time he wanted. And he could have possibly killed all of the Z fighters, including Gohan. But I think at the end of the day, it would have hurt him to go up against Gohan. And I always liked their, little relationship, how, he changed Piccolo for a better person. It wasn't the whole aspect of Goku changing Piccolo. It was his son that changed, technically, Piccolo's son. So it's a kind of crazy dynamic.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah.
Because, everyone looks at Piccolo as the dad, but technically, Piccolo is young. He's like, because you got to think about it. 3 years, he shows up at the World Martial Arts Tournament. And 5 years later, he's basically 8 years old as opposed to Gohan's 4 years old when the Saiyan saga starts.
I wonder if Namekians age faster than humans.
Well, you can be super old and not age. Look at Kami.
True.
So Piccolo, if they decide to go that far, he could live on till heck, maybe even Pan has kids. But he'll just be a very old Namekian and probably can't even fight anymore.
I wonder how that would be like.
Maybe he could be their babysitter. Uncle Piccolo, watch my kids.
I'm getting too old for this.
So, yeah, this is where we also get introduced to Vegeta and, Ian Nappa, but Vegeta more as a character because then he starts to become a main focus. And to an extent, this is when it starts the whole trend of the lesser known characters not being really much a factor. And I said this in my Dragon Ball review. The moment Demon King Piccolo was a thing, that's when all the lesser known characters that were weaker than Goku, really started to take a downturn. One of the first ones to mention, Yamcha. He's literally non-existent for the rest of the series. He's literally a walking meme or fodder in a way for things. He got foddered against the Cybermen. Almost got foddered against the androids. He got killed by Boo, but that's when he didn't really care anymore. Like I said in my Dragon Ball review, the only moment Yamcha really got shine was really Emperor Pilaf Saga, and that's the first part of Dragon Ball. After that, the rest of the season he got foddered in every tournament and everything else. Krillin to an extent, or before I get to Krillin, let me talk about Tien and Chaozu. After Demon King Piccolo, it looked like Tien was still gonna look. It looked like from the aspect in the Dragon Ball series, Tien was going to be the Vegeta-like character, the rival to Goku that's always aspiring to be as strong as Goku, and is just one step behind.
He's only human.
His last probably best moment was Goku versus him in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, which was the final saga in Dragon Ball.
Wouldn't you say? Well, I might be speaking a little too quickly, but wouldn't you say one of his top moments is his tri-beaming over Cell?
You can put that in there, as a major moment for Tien. But if we're talking about like overall, like, as he goes in to contribute to help, that was the one little thing he did. But at the same time, he almost killed himself in the process too. Chaozu, the last big thing we ever get from Chaozu is him blowing himself up. Let's be frank. That's the last time. Everything else, he's just in the background because Tien's, stay here, Chaozu. Even though he doesn't do anything. That he's really done after that. He appears a few times throughout the series of Z. Appears a few times in Super. After that, he basically acted like he was retired from martial arts. Krillin, he was only relevant from a fighting standpoint for two sagas. Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga. Now, if you want to put the Android Saga in there, he was only relevant from the standpoint of his relationship with 18. After that, his next big moment isn't until Super. And we're talking about really Tien and Krillin's next big moment, and even Piccolo later on. Their next big moments won't happen until the Tournament of Power and Super.
How about Resurrection of Death? I mean, they were pretty much fighting up.
They were helpful, but what I'm trying to say is, like, to a whole common cause, to a main plot line, a plot line thread. Yes, that was a plot line thread, but like, they need to help protect their universe. And all of them in those heroic moments, they got a pretty satisfying elimination conclusion. And that's just like, okay, that's their story. That's it. They have nothing else to prove. We'll get into that when we talk the Tournament of Power and Super. Like I said, Piccolo, he was relevant for 3 of the sagas. Saiyan Saga, Frieza Saga, and Android Saga until Perfect Cell came along. After that, Majin Buu Saga, that's when Piccolo's character turned down for the worst. And, you said it earlier, like, oh, I'm getting too old for this. He really does come across like he's an old man by the time the Majin Buu Saga starts. Heck, even though he does have a chance to fight the Supreme Kai, he would have had no chance to win. But he could at least put up a fight. And I think this is where some Piccolo fans say, like, this is when Piccolo became an utter, itch to till his Tournament of Power showtime. Heck, even in the Universe 6 tournament, people felt like he was being basically wasted for Vegeta's whole purpose to get revenge on Frost. Piccolo, he was a good character. Like I said, I loved his character throughout all the sagas. Except the Majin Buu Saga. Majin Buu Saga, he was there, but he didn't do anything. He didn't even at least put a fight up against. The only thing he did in the Buu saga was cut Babidi in half.
Well, I guess that's pretty helpful because at least someone tried to take care of Babidi. Because everybody else just ignored him and like because we all know how annoying Babidi is.
Of course. So, anyways, the Saiyan saga, it was a good saga. It's probably I still, even though I like it, if you ask me of rankings, it's probably the lowest saga to watch, in my opinion. That's my opinion. You know, I'll still go back and watch it. I like it because it starts pretty good. It's just I think it's the weakest saga out of all. Frieza saga. Frieza saga is when we get introduced to Frieza, a whole bigger empire of what Vegeta was a part of. This is where we get the Vegeta rebellion against Frieza. You know, the guy, we find out that Frieza is the man who was responsible for killing Goku's race, the Saiyans. And, you know, this is when, you know, the tiers of characters get insanely strong. And, you know, this is where, really, to an extent, Gohan and Krillin, yeah, they're there and they're featured in this. They don't really do much. Unless, you know, just for stall purposes. They did it against the Dorier. They tried to do it against the Ginyu Force. Well, they nearly did it against the Ginyu Force. They stalled for time until Goku got there. But really, the only main person killing all the villains was Vegeta till Goku showed up. This is also when the part when Vegeta, even though he's still despicable, he became more of a likable character and more fun character to watch and stuff like that, especially his whole, you know, revenge against Frieza and how he didn't want Frieza to get the wish he wants, which is immortality, so he has to be his lapdog for the rest of his life. Actually, I totally skipped over. Your thoughts on the Saiyan saga?
I personally like this. My third favorite. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, cause it starts out like with the origin of Goku and his race and stuff.
Excuse me, guys.
Please stand by.
All right. Back. Sorry, it was getting a little hot in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I also liked how like they started out with, you know, Raditz being the first villain like of the Saiyans, and I like how like you also mentioned that there are two others who would threaten to come and invade Earth, and that the Z Bears will have to prepare themselves until then.
Now I know you gave your favorite, most memorable moment of Dragon Ball Z as a whole. We already know that. What's your most memorable favorite moment of the Saiyan saga?
Most memorable favorite moment of the Saiyan saga?
Or your favorite moment of the Saiyan saga? Alba, instead of that, memorable.
Tough. That's a toughie, actually.
If I have to say, I think my favorite moment from the Saiyan saga was probably the Piccolo sacrifice. Because it really showed the difference and change for Piccolo. It's like Kami said. It's shocking that Piccolo would lay his life down for the son of Goku, his enemy. The old King Piccolo would never do that. He would have just let Gohan to die. I also liked it because this is when we saw the change in Piccolo of where, you know, he changed for the better. And it showed that he actually really did care about Gohan. And, you know, he was willing to sacrifice himself even if it was at the cost of the Dragon Balls. Because he knew Gohan had the potential to be, you know, better.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That's pretty impactful.
Now, if we go into Frieza Saga moments, their favorite moment, obviously, we already know it's gonna be the Super Saiyan part. Now, we'll get that out the way quickly, but the Frieza Saga is basically where things are taken up a notch, and you know, this is when the villains, even though we knew the Saiyans weren't playing around, this is when these guys were not playing around. They were out to kill, and they didn't care who stood in their way. they killed literally half the Namekian population race, with the exception of like 2 Namekians, are really one till they fight Frieza, and that's Tende, which is crazy. The Frieza saga, it's a series. It's a saga which I love the most. It's my favorite saga out of all the sagas because, it has the whole, rebellion against Frieza from Vegeta's perspective. It makes Krillin and Gohan's use in this a little bit better. And this was, like I said, the last few moments of Krillin's shine time in the series till Super, really. Till Super in the Tournament of Power. This is really Krillin's last big saga, I feel, because he got the big power boost. Even though he technically died twice in 2 times of the battle, but he nearly died the first time against Frieza. The second time, it's another memorable moment, how he died against Frieza. It was good to see these some characters, like a longtime friend, the friend of Goku, get at least a good little spotlight, because he got that spotlight and stuff like that to help any way he can, because he did feel a little guilty of what happened on Earth when his friends died. The Frieza saga battle, or the Frieza battle, I love that fight. It's one of my favorite fights in Dragon Ball, and I'm talking about from beginning to end. I love that fight. It's one of my favorite fights in all of Dragon Ball history, especially when we get into Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza. That was fight. Especially listening to Chris Ayers' dubbing of Frieza. He's freaking great. But that's more Kai, not Z. But you know what I mean.
I can't do it.
But then, not to hate on the old Frieza, I thought the old Frieza was really good too. I just prefer Chris Ayers' Frieza a lot more. But like I was saying, the Frieza saga is my favorite saga of all of Dragon Ball Z, because it has all that intense emotional moments. The Vegeta death, that's probably, I'd say, my second favorite moment, when he's crying to Goku to beg him, defeat Frieza and stuff like that, and he's actually crying to him, and I think that's probably the only time he's ever cried to Goku. And probably one of the few times he's ever cried at best in the entire series from what we can remember. That was a really powerful scene, because he not only told Goku, this is the guy who destroyed our home planet. He needs to be beat, because he's a tyrant. He's a overlord. He needs to be stopped. And that's another good powerful moment, and another good memorable moment. It's not my favorite, but it's still another good memorable moment. But like I was saying, the Frieza saga is my favorite one of all the sagas in the show. Those are my thoughts. Your thoughts?
I really like the Frieza saga as well. That whole Vegeta crying thing and to his death. That actually almost made me cry. That moment.
Okay. And actually, going back to the filler thing, when they still showed the Goku versus Frieza fight, I think there was a filler alongside that where they had Gohan fighting Vegeta in the little, area, because basically Vegeta was saying, "Oh, Goku's dead," or "Kakarot's dead."
Oh yeah.
And Gohan didn't. I thought that actually could have stayed in Kai, really, if you ask me, because there was a good little small fight that they had and stuff like that. Even though we already know who won the fight or who's better, but so now we're gonna shift over to the Android saga. The Android saga went back to the whole, with the exception of Mecha Frieza and his father coming to the planet. This is when we got introduced to Trunks, and this is when it started going from the universal threat to a little bit more of the earthly threat, until really Perfect Cell came up near the tail end of the series. There's also incorporated time travel. It's a little different time travel than Back to the Future and stuff like that. We later find out the consequences of that, thanks to Super, because let's just say he loses his entire future for nothing. So let's get to the point in. If you've seen Dragon Ball, let's go. If we look back at it, Trunks literally lost his future for nothing. He literally just spared and saved our the timeline we're flowing on, Goku's timeline, for the better. As opposed to his timeline, now he's with another Mai and another Trunks.
Oh my god.
So, in the end, he fought for nothing. The only good thing he did was save Goku's life. We're not talking about Super yet.
We just spoiled it then. We just spoiled it then.
I'm sorry. We'll talk about the whole dynamic. And I guess I can get into this. When you look at Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball to Z, it's so much more of an understanding when you watch certain things from Dragon Ball and you apply them to Z. Like, now I understand why Goku always got stronger after every fight. Mm-hmm. He's a Saiyan. They get Zenkai boost and stuff like that.
So isn't Zenkai boost a term people made up or something?
I think so, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, the Android Saga was where it went back into Earthly Threat, where the Red Ribbon Army was basically out back on its revenge for Goku for destroying the army. And that was all due to Dr. Gero creating the androids. Now, Dr. Gero, from what I remember watching Dragon Ball, was never even in Dragon Ball. It was just like a character that was just made up from that Toriyama. Now, I'm not judging Toriyama as a whole, but it's like, now say if it was like Officer Black, somehow he escaped the explosion Goku did, and he like, you know, made androids. Okay, maybe that's a little bit more understanding. He wants his revenge for what Goku did.
Then again, we've never really seen like all the Red Ribbon Army members. So
that is true, and you know, maybe he could have escaped from, you know, the base when all the troopers were running away from, you know, the Red Ribbon Army base when Goku was basically trashing the place. So maybe that's why. And then Dr. Gero wanted to get his revenge. And this is when it's like it started the whole thing of Dr. Gero always knowing making androids that were capable to fight all of his friends and Goku by having a little camera, you know, like watching them this entire time. This also develops into the time essence of how Cell came back in time to basically get his hands on 17 and 18, and you know, with Trunks coming back, that's created the whole even with Cell too. It changed the whole like fabric of how, you know, the timeline was supposed to change. Like they were fighting different androids. They're fighting the actual Dr. Gero converting himself to an android and his buddy Android 19 before they fought, you know, 17 and 18. Then 16 shows up. That's was another change and stuff like that. You know, the Android Saga is a really good saga, and it's a lot of people's favorite sagas. Not only because of there's the good storytelling, the really good storytelling. This is the Android Saga. I think of Dragon Ball Z has probably out of anything Dragon Ball probably has the best storytelling of any saga. You know, of just one representative saga. Now, in my Dragon Ball review, I said Dragon Ball has probably the best storytelling of all the Dragon Ball series, but I think Android Saga of all the sagas has the best storytelling because, you know, it starts off beautifully and ends beautifully, and the series for a time that's when the series ended. That it was a perfect send off. You know, Goku dies, and now it's on to the next generation. His son. Mm-hmm. Now we later find out what happens, but we'll get into that in a few seconds. Arguably most memorable favorite moment, no ifs, ands, or buts, Gohan turning Super Saiyan 2. There's other memorable moments, like Android 18 kissing Krillin, you know, Super Vegeta. What other memorable moments were there?
Super Trunks.
Super Trunks, yes. Super Trunks. Mecha Frieza being destroyed by Trunks, or Trunks' first appearance.
Should have mentioned that first, but...
Yeah, you know, the many memorable moments. Kami, Piccolo merging with Kami. That's another big moment. Cell's first. So many moments in the Android Saga, which, you know, it's just great. Now, the Android Saga is my second favorite saga. It's slightly lower than the Frieza Saga. I just like the Frieza Saga more from the standpoint of it's just more a personal story to the same character. Now, this is a personal story to Goku, but when the moment they develops Cell becomes a main thing, you know, I feel like I like Frieza more as a villain than I do Cell. Cell, I feel like I was just there to, like, you know, mess around and just want to be perfect, as he says so himself. As well as Frieza, he's a despicable person who wants to get rid of all the Saiyans.
And just make everybody suffer.
That too. But
I have a love-hate relationship with Frieza.
But yeah, it's my second favorite saga, but it is up there as, you know, my top two, and one of my top twos. So, your thoughts of the Android Saga?
That's actually my top favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, like just slightly above the Frieza Saga.
Okay.
That whole Super Saiyan 2 versus Perfect Cell moment.
Yeah. Great moments. I think the Android Saga, in my opinion, has some of the greatest moments in its entirety. There was like maybe even more. I think there was even more than 10 great moments in that thing. The Android 16 speech. You know, there's so many great moments you can rip out from beginning to end. You can start it off with the Trunks first appearance, and then by the time you end, Trunks defeating the androids in his timeline and stuff like that. That's another good moment. So now we move on to the final saga of Dragon Ball Z, and really its eventual conclusion till the Dragon Ball Renaissance, thanks to, I guess to an extent, Son Goku and his friends return, or if you want to say the Renaissance, really, the Dragon Ball Renaissance. It started with Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. That's basically from when, that's the next time we ever got Dragon Ball, from that point on. So the Buu Saga was the final saga of Dragon Ball for the time being. Well, if you want to count GT, but, you know, if we're being, but yeah, I guess you can count GT, but, you know, there's a final saga of Dragon Ball Z, and, you know, this saga is really, I know a lot of people have a lot of mixed opinions about this saga. Some people say the Majin Buu saga isn't that good, but you got others saying it's their favorite saga of all. It's my third favorite saga. I'm just gonna be blunt. You know, there were good moments, but I know one of the negatives about the Majin Buu saga is it dragged on way too long after a while. And to an extent, I have to agree. You know, with all the different changes of Buu and stuff like that, you would think that Super Buu would be the final Buu they have to fight. But no, then they get to Kid Buu and, you know, and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people were turned off from that standpoint of the fact that, you know, when you think it's going to end, it doesn't end till Kid Buu's eventual demise. I like the Majin Buu saga. It's somewhat explains some things what went on in the 7-year time skip. We knew Gohan, he got weaker, sadly. Vegeta was keeping up on his training, and Goku learned new forms and stuff like that. And there was going to be a bigger threat that they had. There was a bigger threat, unlike anything they have ever faced, really, until Lord Beerus shows up. You know, the Majin Buu saga. This is also, well, even in the Android saga, this is when we got introduced to Hercule. But this is when Hercule in the Majin Buu saga becomes more of a, you know, huge aspect to the point. It's like, you know, even though he's a buffoon, they really needed him. Because if he was with Dende and the two Supreme Kais, the old Kai and the Supreme Kai, on Namek with the Dragon Balls, they don't win that match, because when Goku and Vegeta are trying to talk to the human Earthlings to, you know, give their energy, you know, it's crazy. And also it comes to show that he was, even Hercule, despite how weak it was, he still contributed in the fight against Kid Buu. And, you know, he wasn't doing nothing, no damage, but he was stalling. And, you know, this makes it where you have, even though Hercule's a purely comedic character, it's where you grow that love for Hercule. Like, you know, he may come across as an idiot, but, you know, he really does care about others. Your thoughts on Hercule?
When he was first introduced to the Cell Saga, I was like, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
But then as the story goes by, I saw how he contributed to Kid Buu and stuff.
And even turning Fat Buu into a good Buu.
Yeah. The whole relationship between him and Buu is like, what a lovely friendship.
Now that was nice filler slice of life episodes. Those were the night. It was good. The Majin Buu saga has its positives and has its negatives. I feel like the negatives for that is it's just too long. They could have ended it. Literally, probably they could have ended it. I don't know, with them getting out, and instead of fighting Kid Buu, they could have fought, you know, Super Buu and finished him off. Or they could have fought Kid Buu on Earth instead of going to the Kaioshin's planet. But, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, it's my third favorite. I still like it. I do. It's just, you know, I say it's not as good. And I guess the storytelling isn't as good either as well. In some instances, you know, there's so many times where he could have been beat, but they did the typical trope, you know, Gotenks' timer ran out before he could land the final blow. Buu explodes himself because he's thinking of, like, you know, absorbing Gotenks. You know, there was... it's a love-hate relationship with the Buu saga.
That face that Super Buu made when he first blew up.
Yeah. Let's just say Buu has a lot of pedo faces in this entire saga. You know, Kid Buu makes one. Well, definitely Super Buu, always when especially he's like so favorite moment out of the Majin Buu saga. I gotta say, probably Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Mine too. Yeah.
You know, I do like Vegito. But I think Super Saiyan 3 Goku first transforming into it is just a very iconic scene, especially when you hear the Z dub of it when Sean Shimmer was doing it. It was, man.
How can we ever scream like that?
Yeah. Other than that, that's my take on the Buu saga. Your thoughts on the Buu saga?
Yeah, like remember how like Gotenks was my favorite character in Budokai 2?
Yeah.
Seeing that in Dragon Ball Z, how he just defused, like when he was about to, right when he was about to finish him, I was like, yes, and then he suddenly
let you down. After that, and like if we're gonna be talking about like how I said earlier in characters just being detracted, that was the last time moment. The Buu saga, sad to say the least, was the last time Goten and Trunks, and even Gotenks, has ever been a big feature at all.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before in one of your My Hero Academia videos, but Dragon Ball has been lacking a lot of character development compared to that into My Hero Academia. Like, a lot of character development. Like, they're just mainly focused on Goku and Vegeta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even, I know you don't watch One Piece, but One Piece, to an extent, they have all character development moments. Like, their weakest member on their team, from what I'm watching now, which is Usopp, he's just a freaking coward nerd, but in the last arc, which was about purely Nami, yeah, he was not gonna beat that. He was not gonna beat the villains in that pure, you know, saga. Mm-hmm. But he still contributed to something, and, you know, he still had a little character development that how, you know, he's got to stand up for himself and be better. The moment the Majin Buu saga hits, really after everyone has been absorbed, that's when Dragon Ball as a whole became Goku, Vegeta. And, no one else got their shining moment till the Tournament of Power. A few of them, not all of them. Goten, I'll get into my issues with Goten and Trunks in our Super review. Morally, Trunks, especially when the Future Trunks arc in Super comes up, because I really thought they let Kid Trunks down in that. He could have had so much of a bigger moment in that saga. But yeah, Piccolo, like I said earlier about Piccolo, Piccolo was just there. He was just there. All the other characters were just there. After Gotenks got absorbed, that was his last moment of any bright day in any Dragon Ball thing. But you can say, but he made an appearance in Battle of Gods. He made an appearance in the Super anime a few times. Did he do anything? Not really. Super, from what I remember, he did the same. He just got slapped on the wrist by Beerus a few times. He showed up to the revival of F saga in Super, diffused quickly. Wasn't he in the Potafu arc with Copy Vegeta for a time being? After that, done. They really haven't done nothing with Goten and Trunks. With JoJo, they have nothing for them, and that's why some people fear when they get older, they'll still have nothing for them. We're still waiting for them to hit their growth spurts yet to see Teen Goten and Teen Trunks. So yeah, Gohan, last big moment of his shine time till Tournament of Power. Really, the last big power he gets is Ultimate Gohan. After that, non-existent till Tournament of Power. This is when it turned for the worse for Gohan's character, and that's why, sadly, his highest moment was at the end of the Android saga. After that, is when he got hooked up with Videl. Videl, arguably best girl in Dragon Ball.
I have her in Dragon Ball Legends. Yay!
I like Videl's character in this. I do love the romance between Gohan and Videl. I think it's the best romance out of all. One, it's better than the Vegeta Bulma romance. We see slight hints that we know that Vegeta does care about Bulma, but we never saw them interact where they're starting to feel feelings for one another. Now Bulma, at the beginning of the Android Saga, we saw that develop for a little bit. She cared about mostly his pride and his passions to beating Goku. We saw the Goku-Chi-Chi relationship develop from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. It was a little fun relationship. We only saw the little hints of the 18 Krillin relationship. We didn't see how they really all together hooked up. That happened somewhere in the 7-year time skip between Android Saga and Buu Saga. The little tidbits we got of the Gohan-Videl relationship, I like it the most out of all the other popular Z-girl relationships, is because she was a girl that was all over Gohan from the standpoint she was suspicious of him, but then when she started later knowing what Gohan's true life is, she started to have more of a fond appreciation of him. And the moment Gohan told her that he's the one that beat Cell, that's when she was like, I have to do something to this boy. Being PG, I'm not dropping an F-bomb.
Something, eh?
But that was the moment when she wanted to be Gohan's girlfriend. I'll say that. We all know what they eventually did later on, but yeah.
Would you say she has a lot of potential to being one of the strongest Earthlings?
You could say that if she kept training. Krillin, no doubt, is the strongest Earthling character. Because I think he's better than Tien. He's definitely way better than Tien, even though Tien does keep up with his training. But if Videl didn't become a stay-at-home mom, she might have been the strongest Earthling. Actually, could have probably been in the Tournament of Power if she was still a martial artist. But that she became a stay-at-home mom by the time Super came. It's like she retired from martial arts once Super starts. So that's our thoughts on Z. Now we're gonna get into Z Kai and why we think it's better. Now I watched Z Kai in Japanese. With the little bit I saw of Japanese and Z, I don't really mind the Z Japanese dub. I really don't. Same voices, same Masuka Nozawa, great voice actor. Ryo Hori. What's the Vegeta's Japanese voice actor? I forgot. But you know what you guys I'm talking about. But personally, I saw no difference because I even watched one episode of the Z dub for Japanese, and I was like, you know what? It sounds almost identical like the Kai Japanese dub. No problems here. Now, this is when we're talking about the English dub. The reason why I say Z Kai is a better dub, because it's just a better dub overall, all around. The voices are better. I like Z Kai more because it gets to the point. It doesn't have all this filler. They have a little tiny filler some episodes, but not much. They mostly cut the filler out. And Z Kai is mostly the anime's adaptation for the manga. Basically, it's a shorter, more condensed version of Z. Not many people like the Z Kai dub. Vegeta's voice. Chris Abbott changed Vegeta's voice. He didn't do the raspy voice. He changed it and stuff like that. I like the Z, and the voices are more clearly to hear. And the script and the dialogue is a lot better than the Z dialogue and script. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Z Kai more. That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm. And also in Z Kai, it's a little bit like remastered to an extent. There's some scenes that are like completely remastered and look a little bit like different and stuff like that. Basically, Z Kai does everything, follows the entire same story of Dragon Ball Z. Z Kai did have the final chapters. That was the Buu Saga. That's what they called it for the English dub. The Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapters. Same thing like that. For the time, Z Kai only stopped at the Android Saga, and it looked like they weren't going to do the Majin Buu Saga. But then by 2014, they did the Majin Buu Saga for Kai, and it was good to see. And I prefer watching Kai because I have more of a blast watching Kai. Mm-hmm. Even though in the first two seasons of Kai, which is mostly now in the Japanese dubbing, in the Japanese dub of Kai, they had the Yamamoto's soundtrack up until the last few episodes of the Android Saga. Now, if you don't know Yamamoto, basically he was an artist who plagiarized the Kai soundtrack of other musical soundtracks, and because of that, they basically changed the soundtracks later in Kai. So if you watch Kai's today, you don't hear the Yamamoto soundtrack unless I guess you watch it before it ever even was taken off, or if you watch the DVDs, which I guess you probably would hear. If you watch the DVDs, probably you might hear the Yamamoto score. Now, if you watch it on like TV, like today, especially for the English dub, they have the old Kikuchi score from Dragon Ball Z. I did like the Yamamoto's songs, or the OST in Kai. I thought it was pretty catchy and stuff like that. But even though it's still a good soundtrack, even though it is plagiarized, I never do condone that, copying off one's work. But it sucks to say that he couldn't come up with his own music for Dragon Ball Z Kai. Now, when you get into the Buu Saga, Sumitomo, who does the composing for like everything else Dragon Ball now, he was in the Buu. He did the composing for the Buu Saga, and some of the tracks in the Buu Saga were from Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods movie.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And stuff like that. So, yeah, we just literally did our review of friggin' Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Z Kai. This was our thoughts of Dragon Ball Z Kai. We're gonna do our Super review because I don't have to rewatch Super anymore to freaking you give that. I can just give that out right now. Yeah, but this is our Dragon Ball Z and Z Kai review. In the comment section, give us your opinion, what you thought of Z. And if you watched Kai, give us opinions on that too. And also, what is your opinion, or what is your preferred, version to watch? Z or Kai? I would like to find that out. So you can put that in the comment section. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want more content, whether it's Dragon Ball or any other thing relating to sports or movies or other TV shows, hit that subscribe button. And also subscribe to my friend Denzel / The Red Wolf's channel. If you want to plug in your channel's name, go right ahead.
Sure. I hope to see you on my channel as well.
What's your channel's name?
The Red Wolf.
Okay, yeah. So, you want to check out him? He does gameplays and stuff like that. Sometimes I'm on there, and I rage. But,
You'll beat me someday. Well, you did beat me last time, but...
yeah, but if you want to see gaming from him, go check out his channel. He does good videos. Not best quality, but, you still get to see good games that you might be entertained in playing and stuff like that. So we're probably gonna take a break before we make our Super review right now.
Oh yeah, and leave down in the comment below. Persuade him to get better in German bars. Please.
Okay. Well, this has been Cam315
and the Red Wolf here.
We'll catch you guys on the next video. You guys have a great day.